Keep that applause going for your next act. It's James McCann.
Yeah! Do. Yeah! Oh, hello, possums. That's my new catchphrase. It's recently become available. I'm taking it. I'm the first one, possums, to bring it back. So good to be here. I'm the only act on the bill tonight who was born in this country. I'm not saying they're coming here and taking our jobs, but they're taking the jobs of, you know, some of the less successful comedians up the back of the room. I'm fine. I'm good enough on when they say meritocracy. This is what they mean. I get in the door. I don't have a silly accent. I wish I did. It'd make this a lot easier. I'm not saying these people aren't funny. I'm just saying if they weren't funny, you wouldn't know. Those accents are distracting and exciting. It's true. It's same with our accents when we go overseas. I went to America recently. No matter what I said, it didn't matter. People would come up to me afterwards and go, oh. They'd go, you're arsey. Water. Say water. They can't fucking go. Well, and then they do an impression of it. No, but I'd say, oh, I just need to go to the bathroom. They'd say like, go to the bathroom, kangaroo, mate. Hop, hop, up and down, where's your knife? I mean, you can never... They're all great. I'm not saying anyone's no good. I'm just saying. I'm from Adelaide. We don't have a lot of foreigners. That's all I'm saying. It's weird and different to see foreign people in a city. I'm acclimatising to Sydney. I'm here. I went to a cafe today called... I think it's called Ona? Have you been to Ona? It's a we don't have this sort of cafe where I come from. This was, I got in there and they had a weighing machine for the long blacks. Like they had a scale and the guy was measuring how much water, the weight to pour it in. Like usually what you can do is just fill it up to the top. But he felt the need to and I was so angry. Every small-minded, small-town thing came. I was like, I want to fucking use that spoon to kill you. You fucking inner city la-di-da, latte, sipping. Oh, you know, whatever that noise is meant to be a substitute for. One of the words that I'll say outside of Sydney. And boy, oh boy, then I had the coffee. And it was the best coffee I'd ever had in my... Just one sip, and immediately I went from being angry at him to angry at every other coffee maker I'd ever had in my entire life who had wronged me by not making the coffee. What the fuck? I was having a beautiful... I had a business meeting, so I wasn't paying for the coffees, and I looked at the coffee menu, and one of them, you may not believe, it was a $32 coffee. So I just said with the guy who was having me at the business meeting in a sort of roundabout, knowing that he'd pay, I was like, isn't that interesting? I wonder what that one's like. And he said, I'll get it. And we got it. It came out in 2 different cups, a rounder cup and a more tapered cup. And the guy the barista, who had previously used the weighing machine, he said, I like to serve this one in 2 different cups so that you can see the difference that the cup makes on the flavour of the coffee. And just once again in my heart, I was like, I had a second revolution to being like, I want to fucking kill you again. I am so hot with rage right now. Until I had the coffee in the 2 different cups and one was fruitier than the other. I mean, my goodness gracious me, can you believe... I mean, it was just a magical experience. But it does make me think, how long are we going to spend making pleasures more refined? You know, because he kept saying, it's like wine. In a different wine glass, it's different. And you go, yeah. We need to know that about wine because it is expensive. No one knew 15 years ago that coffee could be better. It was instant coffee. It did its job. We were happy with that. And now, like Pandora's box being opened, we know too much that we can enjoy. Oh, no, there's more refined. Yes, you can have a different cup and the fruity. How far are we going to go? A heroin dealer's going to be saying, you use a more shallow spoon for this heroin. The heat The heat will transform. It's a sharper, more intense, heavenly experience. I don't know. Poetry's everywhere. There was poetry in that copy, and it changed my day. I bought scissors. You ever buy scissors, madam? Or anyone really, but familiar gentlemen with scissors. They cut things. Sometimes, if they're good, if they're the right kind. But then you'll get the scissors. I think we can all see where this is going. And they'll be in some sort of box. And you'll say, well, goodness gracious me, I can't open that box. If only there was some sort of scissor. But I don't have this, and it's a little poem, isn't it? It's a little difficult poem. We've all heard about that. Recently, I had the opposite experience, though, that sort of restored balance to my life. I bought a bin at IKEA, and it came in a lot of packaging. And just immediately, it was like, holy shit, I just take that off, I put that in, done. That was nice. Look, I'm not a sophisticated man. That's the sort of thing that gives me happiness. Someone came up to me recently and said, James, how do you feel about The Voice? And I said, honestly, I didn't know that show was still on television. And they clarified. They said they meant the Aboriginal voice. Yeah, we're ready to have a dignified national conversation about that, aren't we? Given the quiet hush that's taken over the room. I'm sure everyone will just openly and transparently not lie to pollsters on how they're voting, and we won't be surprised. You voting for The Voice? Oh, man, what a great vibe I've brought to the room. I will vote for The Voice, but on one condition, that it works the same as the television show The Voice. I want them to go to the House of Representatives and get rid of the Speaker's chair and replace it with 4 big red chairs. And every time you read some legislation, you've got to hope Jessica Mauboy pushes her button. And she turns around and goes, I hereby declare that budget was deadly. Holy dooly, goodness gracious. You ever have a conversation with a white person from overseas and see how long it takes you to get them to say something fucked up about race? It's different for all the different white people races from overseas, but like, there's easy mode, that's a South African. Sometimes you don't actually have to ask a question to get it. You don't have to lead them down the path. They'll just, all of a sudden, they'll go, man, it's so safe. And you go, why is that? One and done. Hardest mode, the hardest group of white people to get them to say something fucked up about race is New Zealand women. Very uptight. Any New Zealand women in tonight? Very uptight. Until they're watching like some rugby played by schoolboys. And then they'll go like, oh, look at that boy's calves. They're delicious. And you go, what? What? You go, do all New Zealand women sexualise Islander boys? They do. The hardest one is Australian, because we only say appropriate things. And it's, I'm going to go now. Thank you. I appreciate it.